Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 613. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. Are you guys feeling festive?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure, said James. James, do you think in like 20 years you'll have a career as a Santa?
As a Santa?
Yeah. No. Like, just, it's off the table.
He's pretty
not gonna
skinny.
I'm just not interested in being a Santa, like at all. You know what I mean? Like the duties of a Santa. Are you talking about like a mall Santa, or like what are we talking about here?
Any sort of dress up Santa. Like you could do malls, you could do parties, you could do corporate events. Have a YouTube channel where you can like wish kids Merry Christmas. That could be your thing. That way you only need like half the suit. Don't even need the pants.
I don't want to wish kids Merry Christmas. I really don't want anything to do with kids in that way, to be honest. I find kind of the real life Santa people that do those types of things, it's a little creepy to me.
Why is it creepy?
It's not creepy.
I don't know. It can be.
How is it creepy?
I don't know.
Well,
it just is.
No, you must articulate. You can't call something creepy. I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
is it creepy like
call
conceptually to you, or you've met people that are creepy? Because in my experience, they all seem very nice people.
No, I mean, I've never met somebody that seemed overtly creepy, pretending to be Santa or anything like that. But I don't know. There's just something. It's not for me, I guess is what I'm saying. Not for me.
Okay.
I'm just not looking for kids to pay attention to me in that way. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just not. I don't care. I'm not into it.
So you don't want to do it.
How much do I get paid? That's the question.
I mean, I think Santas can make during the holiday season several thousands of dollars.
Not interested.
It probably depends on how good you are as Santa.
If we're talking like 50 to 100K for a month's worth of work, I'll get over it. I'll do it. But much less than that. I don't really care that much.
My friend dressed as Waldo and walked around Chicago.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, and I've never felt before like I was walking around with a celebrity as much as I did then. Like it was wild how people would run up to him like the most excited they've ever been to be Waldo. And I bet being Santa's like that, but with kids.
Sure.
I would say Waldo's more novel though, because Santa's an annual thing. And Waldo you happen upon in Chicago of all places.
I agree, except these are like, 22-year-olds running up to Waldo and like 6-year-olds with Santa. So I think the novelty is still there.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, they're seeing the one and only Santa. You know what I mean? That's pretty amazing.
When you guys were little and you went to see Mall Santa, did you think that was the Santa, or was in your mind was that like some agent of Santa? Like, do you remember?
To be honest, I don't remember ever going to a Mall Santa.
Okay,
I'm sure it happened at some point. I think there's some movie. Is it Home Alone where he like says, "Oh, you just work for Santa"? So I don't know if I can separate out Macaulay Culkin's opinion of it from my own.
Yeah, but Macaulay Culkin goes to Santa or a Mall Santa or something, or like a Christmas Village, and he goes like, "I know you're not the real one, but could you please tell him that?" Yeah.
I have like visual evidence of going to a Mall Santa for sure. My parents have photos from back in the 80s when that happened. But to be honest, I don't remember a time where I didn't know Santa wasn't real. Oh, spoiler alert if the kids are listening.
Spoiler. 100 tiny brains just exploded.
Should I beep that?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
you should.
That's been beeped. Gonna flag that right now. Santa's real, kids.
Oh yeah, that's reassuring.
No, I mean, I honestly, I don't. The thing that I said that I beeped, I don't remember a time when I didn't. I don't remember that as fact.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I had older sisters who ruined it for me, but I don't even know if that's true either. I just don't remember a time where, yeah, I was bought in.
I
But
definitely remember.
I've always been bought in on the idea of it.
Yeah.
But I was playing along. I don't know. You guys still believe?
We're just gonna let James keep digging a hole here. Just keep
You
talking,
guys are-
James.
You guys are true believers? I'm just asking.
True believers.
Just asking questions here.
I mean, there's definitely a spirit to the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I also know who buys the presents, so
Sure. Yeah. Did you guys ever find a present you weren't supposed to know about before Christmas?
No, but my 3-year-old just did.
really.
Yeah, and so now I know. Like, do I not give it to him? I have to figure out if he'll put 2 and 2 together.
You got like 10 days. He won't remember.
He probably won't.
That's
yeah,
what I
he'll
got to
be
figure
fine.
out.
He'll be so stoked over it. I'm sure the day of it will not matter.
I'm not so sure.
No?
I don't know. He's
He's
don't know
asking
yet.
about it a lot.
No. I'm trying to think through how his mind would process it.
I mean,
Sure.
who's the gift from? Is it from you or is it from another jollier person?
From a jollier person.
Okay.
You might have to swap
Oh.
one from you.
Yeah, you might need to make a little switcheroo there.
Yeah.
I definitely found where my parents hid the presents, but they were already wrapped. So I wondered if they like would buy them and then wrap them immediately and let them sit
Sure.
for weeks. And I still felt guilty. Like even though they were wrapped and didn't ruin anything, I felt kind of bad for finding them. Like, oh, I'm ruining it here.
Sure. When I was younger, I used to absolutely go in my parents' closet and have a little treasure hunt. And I'm sure I found them and knew my presents early, but I don't remember specifics of what that might have been. But I was a naughty boy, that's for sure. Don't do that, kids. Santa won't give you anything if you do that. And you get caught. I never got caught. Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 613. It's our annual Christmas movie episode. Welcome. We've been watching a lot of Christmas movies lately. 3 specifically. Has anybody watched any more than that, or are we pretty much just the 3 that you had to watch?
Oh no, we just watched Klaus tonight. That's one of our annual watches.
Sure.
And then Home Alone's gonna be up pretty soon here.
All right. Zach?
We watched The Star, which is an
Okay.
animated movie that my kids really like.
Nice.
It's about the donkey that took Mary to the manger.
Sure. That's an old
And-
one, right?
It's not too old. No, I
Oh.
think it's
A couple years ago.
last 5
Okay.
years maybe.
Then I haven't seen it. Rings a bell though from a animated movie from like the 80s. I wonder if they remade it.
It's a 3D animated.
The new one.
It's from 2017,
Gotcha.
and there's no movie called The Star from the 80s.
But I'm sure there was some biblical kids movie about the story of the birth of Jesus.
Sure.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't named The Star. I haven't watched anything, but I'm sure I'll watch either Elf or National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation before the holidays are over. One of those is getting watched one way or another, I'm sure.
We make a list of all the holiday movies we want to watch, and we have 6 to go and a week before Christmas. So there might
That's
be
funny.
some binging going on.
My family used to always watch A Christmas Story.
Oh, yeah, we just watched that. Galen saw it for the first time.
All right. Did you like it?
He did. Yeah, he thought it was funny.
Okay.
Is that a movie that you burned out on because your family watched it all the time?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
do you still
I-
enjoy it? Okay.
I haven't seen it in a decade. I'm
All right.
so over that movie.
I like that movie.
I like it. But I get it. Like if you watch it every single Christmas, it could grate on you. Even though I've seen Elf like 14 years in a row now, and I still look forward to it. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. It's out of the rotation. Excommunicated from
Excommunicado.
Christmas. Yep, for sure. So bottom line, we're going to talk Christmas movies. Every year we pick 3 Christmas movies that none of us have seen and watch them and then discuss them on our annual Christmas episode. The 3 movies we watched this year is The Apology from 2022, Genie from 2023, and another 2023 movie that you may have heard of called The Holdovers. And so we're going to talk about those somewhat in order of release.
Just say
Or
alphabetically.
alphabetically.
But mostly in alphabetical order.
Okay.
When it's a list of 3 and it's not in order of release,
Sure.
I don't know
You
if
can't
it's
call it
helpful
somewhat.
to call somewhat in order of release.
Sure, that's true. So we're going to get into that. Then we're going to give Kyle the trivia challenge that we gave Zach last week. See if he can score better with the exact same questions than what Zach did. And then the next time we record a podcast, we're going to run me through the questions, even though I'll have heard them twice. And we'll see if I can do better than you guys, even though I've heard the questions in advance.
My prediction is you won't.
Ooh.
I think that's what Zach's rolling with.
Okay.
too.
Wow.
I'm really tempted to study them and not tell you guys, but I'm not going to. This will be a clean experiment.
Yeah, no cheating at trivia.
The second and last time I will have heard these questions will be tonight when Kyle takes his test. So we're going to jump into those movies and that game right after I remind you that there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go check it out there, youtube.com/@Cinereelists. You could also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Get extra after show audio amongst other Cinerealist swag for supporting the show. You could leave us an Apple Podcast review. That would be a great Christmas gift. If you're a new listener and you haven't done that yet, go check it out. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to leave us an Apple Podcast review, just click the link in the description. If you're listening on an Apple device and you've never done it, just do it in your Apple Podcast app. You could also send us an email, heyguys@cinereelists.com. Lots of new Christmas movies this year, and I think that's because maybe we're a little tapped on the old ones. Is that why? I don't know. I kind of feel like we've seen all the good old ones, but maybe not.
We've done this for a lot of time, so we've covered a lot of Christmas movies.
Right. When you say we, you mean like the 3 of us, we, not a collective society of we.
I'm sure there's some good old ones, but the challenge is to find a good old one that none of us have seen. That's hard to do.
James, have you seen the Star Wars holiday special?
Absolutely.
Oh, I was really hoping to do that for next year, but
no,
we've ruined that one now too.
I know. It's tough. So if you know of like an obscure older Christmas movie that you don't think any of us have seen that you enjoy, please send it to us via email. We'd appreciate that. With all that being said, let's jump in to the holiday movie goodness, starting with The Apology from 2022. This movie you can stream online right now on Hulu. We're going to talk about it right after this clip.
This month is the 20th anniversary of Sally's disappearance.
Why do they call it an anniversary like it's something to celebrate?
After all this time, what do you need to help you feel whole again?
That was The Apology, a 2022 movie. This movie was directed by Alison Locke and stars Anna Gunn, Linus Roach, Janine Garofalo, Mary Lee Holland, Esme McSherry, and Zena Leigh Logan.
I don't remember there being 6 people in this movie, so
Well, evidently there is.
apparently there's more.
This movie was so obscure, there's no Wikipedia entry on it. So I had to use IMDb for all that, and I hated every moment of it.
Well, IMDb gives you the deep knowledge that you need that Wikipedia just, cannot source from its community.
You're right. You're so right, Kyle. The official IMDb plot synopsis for The Apology is 20 years after the disappearance of her daughter, a recovering alcoholic is preparing to host her family's Christmas celebration when her estranged ex-brother-in-law arrives unannounced, bearing nostalgic gifts and a heavy secret. Pretty good plot description, I would say.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. So, Kyle, this was your pick.
It was.
It's pretty much the only option you gave us. You seemed pretty hyped to watch this movie. I'm curious to know how you learned about this movie and how you feel about recommending it now.
Yeah. All right. So let me take you back to the spring of 2022.
Okay.
And I'm scrolling my local Facebook community page, for people who live in my suburb of Madison, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And someone posted pictures. They said, "Oh, hey, there was a movie being shot in the neighborhood today. And like, here are some pictures of like this house all dressed up for Christmas." This was in like March. It was like in springtime.
Mm-hmm.
And like through the, and there's like cool, like, oh, this is a movie set. Like there's the trailers and the house is all dressed up. There's fake snow and everything. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wonder what this movie is. And they said, oh, this movie's called The Apology, and it should come out, sometime later this year. So I'm like, okay, cool. Must be a Christmas movie. Knew nothing else about that whatsoever. Kind of forgot about it. And then around like November of 2022, I was like, oh yeah, The Apology. I wonder if that movie actually ever came out. What came of that? And I looked it up and found that it was like actual Christmas movie, seemed like a thriller. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I think I considered it for last year's Christmas episode, but for whatever reason, I punted on it. And this year, I decided to add it to the rotation because I was like, well, I would love to watch a movie that was filmed at least partially, miles away, if not blocks away from my house.
Sure.
Now, I must say the caveat is the only portion of this movie that was filmed in my area was the exteriors of Genie and Garofalo's house. That's the only part of it.
Okay.
And I can actually send you guys a couple pictures from the Facebook page of what the house looked like. I can post these on our Instagram too, because check that out. I'll put these on the Discord for you guys right now.
Okay.
Now in the movie, the house it's dark and there's much more snow, and obviously they use some CG enhancements to make it look much darker and snowier than when they filmed it and dressed it up here.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was cool. I doubt that Genie Garofalo was here. I'm sure the scenes of her outside that house, like there's some wide shots of her outside the house with the dog. I'm assuming that was a stand-in. That was not her.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they had close-ups of her, like this is probably just on a green screen and they just put her in front of the house. So anyway, that's how I came to hear of this movie and thought I'd bring it to you guys on the podcast. And I'm not mad that I watched that I brought this movie to you guys.
Okay.
It's definitely, I don't know how much of a Christmas movie it is. Like it definitely takes place during Christmas.
Sure.
But I don't know if like the holiday spirit is
It's coursing through the veins of this
right,
movie.
Exactly. Though I mean, again, Genie Garofalo's house pretty well dressed up for this movie. So that second decoration is top notch. Yeah, I mean, so this is a movie where like performances, I really enjoyed Anna Gunn in this movie. I've really only seen her as Skylar in Breaking Bad, which I like her in that series. And I thought she was doing a lot with what she had in this movie. Because this is a movie where there's not a ton of plot to it. You read the plot description, right? At the beginning of the movie, we learn things about her past. And then this person shows up who it took me forever to figure out who this guy was. I was like, wait, is this her ex-husband? Is this an ex-lover? And I'm like, oh, wait, no, this is her ex-brother-in-law, which is a weird connection. So it took me a while to get there. And he reveals a secret. And then there's like 45 minutes more movie to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a movie where it felt like it was kind of marking time at times. The secret does get a little bit more involved. I guess we learn more about it later in it, but there's definitely like a middle section where this is sort of I don't know, like a kidnapping movie in a sense. Like it's kind of going for a thriller, but it doesn't always know where to go with the story. That being said, I think Anna Gunn was doing an awesome job with this movie, but it's this kind of script where sometimes characters make dumb decisions just to keep the plot moving forward. Like I'm gonna give you guys an example of a point where I rolled my eyes, where I was like, this is just a dumb plot description or idea. And like Anna Gunn's kind of in this confrontation with her ex brother-in-law / now captor, and he leaves the house for some reason, right? And she finds like an ice skate or something or she finds some weapon to bludgeon him with. And instead of just like waiting by the door for him to walk back in and catch him off guard, she then opens the door and runs out into like the snowy nights to chase him, and he's waiting for her on the other side. And like that was one of those things where a rational, smart person would probably just wait for the captor to come back and then take care of it versus chasing them around. And it's one of those things where it kept the story moving because now it put her in a different circumstance. But I was like, and this movie did that a couple times where I was just like, okay, we're just trying to move things forward here because we don't know what else to do. But I wasn't mad at this movie. I was never bored per se. I just was kind of hoping, what else can it give me?
Sure.
What'd you think, James?
I mean, I think this movie doesn't have a Wikipedia entry for a reason, probably.
I'm sure the budget on this movie's got to be millions of dollars if they're using Oregon, Wisconsin for their location shots.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't mad at it. It is what it is, right? It's like
Right.
a fairly low budget movie. Anna Gunn is your biggest name in it, and she's
Right.
not exactly a movie star. She certainly had a great role in Breaking Bad, and she was great in Breaking Bad. She's not bad with what is here, with the subject matter here.
You say she's
But
a bigger movie star than Genie Garofalo now?
Probably.
I'm not trying to get to like a Jennifer Lawrence, Margot
Sure.
Robbie thing here, but
No, I'm not either. But
Okay.
Janine Garofalo definitely had a name at some point, but she's kind of faded from movies
right, yeah.
for like
Like
decades.
Janine
at this
Garofalo,
point.
the name means more to me than Anna Gunn's name means.
Sure.
But like
But,
the
like-
average person.
Yeah, I would be familiar with Anna Gunn's work than Janine Garofalo's now.
Correct, yeah.
I think it all depends on when you grew up. If you're like
Totally.
20 something right now, you may have never heard the name Janine Garofalo.
Or Anna Gunn for all that matter.
I don't know. Like
Bra-
Breaking Bad, when they were teenagers, that was a hit show that was winning awards.
No, if they're 20 now, like Breaking Bad came out when they were 5.
Right. I said it in their 20s.
Oh, I see. Well, okay, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's a pretty low budget affair, and it is during Christmas. But man, this is not the holiday I want. That's for sure. I mean, it is like I like horror movies that are set during Christmas, and so I'm not against like a dark story being told in this time. But normally, when people try to make horror movies, it's like fun. It's like Gremlins or like, you know what I mean? It's horror for sure. I mean, I've even seen slasher movies that are like no holds barred type stuff that's set at Christmas. It's just like a certain level of camp that kind of excuses the darkness. And in this movie, it's just dark. It's like just real life stuff. And I did not enjoy living in the world that these people lived in. And like all the mental angst and it's like setting the room during Christmas time and calling it a Christmas movie, like, and also not being very good at the time. You know what I mean? It's like all those things together is just like, all right, I guess it's a Christmas movie, yeah, but I am not feeling the holiday cheer with this one at all. Like nothing good is happening in this movie, and yeah, that's kind of where the movie left me, where I was just kind of like, all right. Just don't put it at Christmas. Then I would have never watched it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why this was set during Christmas, if not just to like make it set during the deep winter.
But even that like wasn't a part of the story. It's not like they were stranded or
They were kind of stranded and the power kept going out.
Right.
I guess.
I also feel like they wanted to, since this is all shot in one location, they probably didn't want to worry about lighting the outside and like just they could close the curtains and say it takes place over one night.
Yeah, that could be.
So it's easy to make it deep winter and just say, yeah, so it's all one night. Sun goes down at 4:30, doesn't come until 8:30 the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other thing is like, why have Janine Garofalo in this movie? It's not like she was funny at all.
No, there is a moment in this movie. I had to watch it a couple times. It's the moment where Anna Gunn is wrestling with the guy in her daughter's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And her daughter's name is Sally. I can't remember what Anna Gunn's character's name is. And
Darlene.
then Darlene, was it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Janine Garofalo runs in. She kind of like runs in as last minute, and she yells, "Sally, look out," which is the daughter's name. And I stopped it. And like I rewound it. I watched it a couple times. Like, did she saying Sally? Like she definitely said the wrong name, and they left it in the movie.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Zach.
I have more, but I don't hear what Zach has to say first.
Yeah, I can't say like I didn't, I wasn't interested in the movie. I was
Right.
interested in the movie, and I was intrigued with the setup. Like when the ex-brother-in-law showed up, they have kind of this interesting history, and he gets there right as she like was about to relapse into alcoholism. Like I was like, oh, this is an interesting setup. And if this movie gives me like a twisty kind of taut, like people having conversations locked in a house where like things are revealed and then like, but they're not as they seem. And then there's twists and like interesting, moral conundrums and like the ideas of like the nature of forgiveness, like those kind of like philosophical two people having a conversation in a room around Christmas kind of a thing. I was like, this could be a nice little hidden gem of a interesting little, two-piecer. But unfortunately, I found the script to be fairly poor in the sense of like, there's so many opportunities where they could have made a lot of different choices. And I was always surprised that they made the most basic choice. It never, like sometimes I was like, is this an unreliable narrator? Because I was just shocked at how simplistic everything was almost immediately all the time. Like there was no nuance or like anything like that. I found the ex-brother-in-law character to be incredibly unbelievable as a character. He had so many conflicting motivations that just did not make sense to me from what I like am aware of from like actual people, they behave maybe one way or the other way, but not both at the same. Like he was like multiple characters smushed into one, like every possible response to what happened smushed into a character rather than like one fleshed out character.
Right. It really bothered me where at one point it seemed like he just wanted to come clean. And then another point seems like he wanted to like get her back involved in the whole scheme. And then another point he wanted her to absolve him of his sins. And I was like, what does he want from this situation? And I could not figure that out because it kept changing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And like at one point I'm like, are we supposed to feel sympathy for him?
Right.
And then like, we're definitely not. And then later, like, it's almost like we are again. It was so silly.
Right. He's a sympathetic character of this two-hander. He's the real victim of this whole story.
Right. And then it relies so much on very well-tread thriller tropes, Like, if you thought Red Eye was like every other thriller movie, and that was 20 years ago or whatever, and then this one has all the same things that Red Eye has. It's just like, it felt
Like
very
it's like
rehashed.
Christmas.
Yeah. I think that she did put a lot of herself on the screen. Anna Gunn, like she definitely went for it. This was her ugly role,
Do we
she
hear
did
Oscar
good.
bait?
No, we don't. We don't. And Janine Garofalo, for whatever reason, she came across as the comic relief of the film. Like, anytime she's on scene, it felt a little goofy, I guess.
I think it's because she's just so much shorter than Anna Gunn and the ex-brother-in-law.
Oh, like the first time you see them on screen together, it's odd.
Right. Like, because Anna Gunn's just so tall.
Yeah.
And then Jean Garofalo's, she's just gotten shorter as she got older. So.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was incredibly disappointed with the brother-in-law's character. It just like was the dumbest character as far as like what are his motivations and who is he and his backstory and all that kind of stuff. And then ultimately, I felt like the script was a little exploitative. Like it goes into details and kind of dwells on things in a way that just felt like voyeuristic. In a bad way, like a true crime voyeurism, like a bad version of that. It's just unnecessary and I don't know.
Is that when the brother-in-law was describing?
Yeah.
For the second time?
Yeah.
But can't you imagine though if you were in Anna Gunn's place and 20 years have passed, you don't know what happened. You've always just you don't know what happened. Wouldn't you kind of want to know, like, just I want the truth. Right. I see as a viewer how it can be exploitative, but like as a character, wouldn't you just want to know exactly what happens?
Right. I'm saying that the movie was exploitative, even if it makes sense for the characters.
Okay.
But one thing that Anna Gunn's character did several times is like, okay, now you've told me what happened, but now tell me the truth.
Tell me what really happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so frustrating because she had no reason to believe that he wasn't telling the truth at that point. Like he had been fairly forthcoming about awful things about himself. That like, I don't know if she really would have said like, okay, but tell me the real truth after that. Like and she did it multiple times. I thought that was silly. If you got, just never put the gun down. Just hold a gun.
Sure.
Just hold on to a gun. Don't set it down.
Absolutely.
No, definitely put it in your like a nice pea coat pocket. That's a very safe place to store your gun.
I think the biggest issue with the movie is that like something needs to be apologized, right? For basically. And so one of the characters confesses to something and then apologizes. But the thing he's confessing to, it's impossible to forgive someone for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they've already set up this scenario where the apology is never going to be accepted. And so the fact that he would even think to apologize for this thing gives you the setup that he has to be a psycho, right? Like to even think that this would possibly go the way he wants it to. And so then they're like trying to set up reasons why somebody would do that. And it all just felt like, I don't know, like somebody wrote a plot line on a piece of paper and then they wrote a movie backwards to try to get into it in some way, without ever revisiting it to make it more interesting than the first pass for some reason.
Yeah, right, because there's no implication or danger for Anna Gunn's character. It's not like something from her past is catching up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just learning about something that happened to her family from the person who did it.
Mm-hmm.
So like the stakes for her are fairly low in a sense, just because this is what happened. And then now what?
Yeah, I want to say two things. One is I disagree just offhandedly of what James said, that it's impossible to forgive someone in that situation. I do think it's possible to forgive anything something someone's done.
Challenge accepted.
But what I thought that he was going to apologize for, it was something like that I thought would be more interesting, frankly. It's something like, I did see her that night and we had some sort of like illicit affair, but then she left. Mm-hmm. And so I was the last person to see her, but I didn't tell anyone about it because I thought it would ruin my marriage. And then she would have to grapple with the fact of like, maybe that information could have helped her find her, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. Which I think would have led to more interesting discussions and a totally different movie for sure. But that was not what he confessed.
And how do you snap someone's neck by pushing on their mouth? I'm really just trying to grapple with like
what?
just
If
my
there's-
knowledge of martial arts. I just don't know how like
If it's uneven ground,
like I just don't know mechanically if you can just like snap someone's neck by just pushing on their face like that.
I've never
Especially
tried it.
so low, like just physics wise, you want to be higher up on the head to like get more. I don't know. Like even that seemed like one of those things where I agree. This script felt like a draft at times where there was a first idea and they said, okay, this is good. And just little things could have been thought out to make this a better movie.
Yep. Anything else with the apology?
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not sorry you guys watched this. It doesn't seem like anyone hated it.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
hate it, but also never want to watch it again, nor would I recommend anybody watch it.
I mean, if you live in the southern Madison, Wisconsin area, want to see the exterior of a house that maybe you've driven by before.
I mean, I'm glad you had a legitimate reason for recommending it. though.
Right. This wasn't some. I was like, oh man, Anna Gunn and Christmas. Let's go, guys.
That was probably the biggest mystery of the movie for me was why Kyle recommended this.
And
or not
and I didn't-
recommended, chose.
Right.
You hadn't seen it yet,
No.
so chose. Because I was just like, how did this possibly get on his radar? Doesn't even have a Wikipedia entry.
No, and I didn't want to tell you guys until the episode. Just I wanted to leave the mystery there of like, why is Kyle thinking about this movie at all?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's on
Mystery
Hulu,
solved.
so people, it is out there. It's not like some lost movie. It's real. It's Shutter Films, isn't it?
Yes. I believe
Okay.
it aired on Shudder last year and then the licensing moved to Hulu at some point.
So you can catch us on Disney Plus in like 3 months when they just absorb Hulu.
Maybe. It's possible. Gather the kids around and watch this one. All right, let's letterboxed the apology. What are you guys going to give it out of 5 stars?
I'll give it 2.5. Half-star bump for B filled my area.
I'll give it 1.5.
One.
I will also give it a 1.5.
Oh wow, I'm a whole star ahead of you guys. It's that local connection, really.
Absolutely. So 2 1.5s and a 2.5 for the apology. We will now move on to our second movie of this episode. The title of this movie is Genie. It also came out this year. It's streaming on Peacock right now. We're going to get into it right after this clip. That was Genie, a 2023 American Christmas fantasy comedy directed by Sam Boyd. Genie stars Melissa McCarthy, Mark Maron, Danae Benton, and Papa Esiadu. Esiadu?
Sure.
I don't know for sure. Something like that.
And
Amongst
Alan,
others.
Alan Cummings.
Yep, he's in it as well.
So, yeah.
The official IMDb plot synopsis for Genie is the film is a fairy tale comedy about a workaholic man who enlists the help of a magical genie to help win his family back before Christmas. It's the first time I've seen a plot description that starts with the film is.
Yeah.
This what happens when AI writes your plot description.
Yep. It's possible AI wrote this movie, period. What did you guys
no,
think
this is-
of Genie?
This is a remake.
This is a remake?
Yeah. There is apparently there was a 90s TV movie called Bernard and the Genie starring Alan Cumming as Bernard.
Oh,
And this
okay.
is a remake of that. I've not seen that one, and I don't know how close. I don't know if they're both Christmassy or how related they are. Just the poster of the 1990s version just makes it look already problematic. So,
Well, I would say this is a Melissa McCarthy Christmas comedy, which I don't think we've had before, right? We've never
No.
had her
No.
starring in her own Christmas comedy. And we watched it. What'd you guys think of Genie? Zach?
Who picked this one?
This was Zach's pick.
Okay.
So I picked this movie kind of because James suggested it, and then I was like, yeah, let's do that. But the main reason is because, like, who doesn't like a good Genie movie?
Mm-hmm.
And I stand by that. I do like a good Genie movie. Emphasis on the word good.
Yeah, agree. I know where this is going.
This is not a good movie.
No.
It's certainly a low budget Hallmark movie, except that it has Melissa McCarthy in it.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Maron randomly.
Mm-hmm.
But Melissa McCarthy is not funny in this film, right? She's there and she's doing the things, but like it comes across unfunny. And then just from the thing about Genie movies, the thing that make Genie movies fun is the wish fulfillment, the living vicariously through these characters, having this amazing ability to have their wishes granted, and like the incredible circumstances that could provide for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this movie actually like removes the 3 wishes restriction on someone. They can make as many wishes as they possibly want. And this guy does absolutely nothing interesting with his wishes whatsoever.
Well, he gets the Mona Lisa.
It's so silly, and that plays a plot
Oh
role
my
where like
God.
cops see a Mona Lisa and then they arrest him because of course it's the real Mona Lisa, not just like a copy of the most famous painting in the world.
It's missing. It's all over the news. Come on. It was right there.
It's just yeah, the movie Blank Check has way more wish fulfillment than this movie does, and he has a genie, and he Blank Check, he just had $1 million, which this guy could have asked for in a second. So I don't know, it just seems so underutilized. But then there was just so little actual humor or comedy in this. And then my final just major gripe, which I do not understand, and I hope you guys can explain to me. I seriously hope that there's an explanation for this, because otherwise it's egregious to the point of being enraging. At the end of the movie, because of certain plot dynamics or whatever, he now has 3 wishes. He has 3 wishes he can make, and he makes 4 wishes. And the movie acts as if he made 3. He makes 4 wishes, and the movie says, "Okay, that's your 3rd wish, and now it's done." And he makes 4 wishes.
Do you remember? I wasn't really paying attention. Do you remember what his 4 wishes were? You were way more invested at this point than I was.
I don't remember specifically all 4. I will say, like, remember they go to the restaurant and they're like, "Oh, you do have a reservation," so that's one of the wishes to let him in. That was the second wish. Yeah. You do serve ice cream here. That's another one. There was one more, and then the first wish that he made was, "I want you to go. I wish you would go away," and she goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he says. Oh, I forgot about that.
They're like on the street, and she had just explained to him that he only has 3 wishes, and he says, "I wish you would go away," and she goes away. And that's the first wish, and then there's 3 more wishes after that.
Well, everyone knows that when you're given 3 wishes, the first one doesn't count because people don't use that first wish very well. So it's like
that's what it is. The first wish was, "I wish you would go away." Then I wish that you did have space at this restaurant.
Right.
Then it was, "I wish you had ice cream."
Which is, by the way, what a waste of 3 wishes.
Were free. Yeah, and then "I wish you were free." That was the 3rd or 4th wish.
To burn 2 or 3 wishes on, "I want a reservation." Oh, good. I wish that table was open.
Why did he only have 3 wishes at some point? What? I don't even remember the plot mechanic of that. Do you guys
that was
remember?
like how it works. It was like once you find what you need, or once the genie fulfills its role for you, then you get your 3 final wishes. But they kind of drop it on you at the very end of the movie. Am I correct, Zach? Is that sort of how they explained it?
As I remember it, I guess.
Okay.
But it blew my mind that when in the course of like 4 minutes, he uses 4 wishes. Like, how does that happen?
And they're poorly used.
Why not just wish that you were the owner of the restaurant? That would cover both of the things he wanted.
Why not just, like not used on the restaurant at all? Like it's just like, oh, sorry guys, guess the restaurant's full. Guess we'll go to McDonald's. They got ice cream.
Yeah.
I wish the ice cream machine was working at McDonald's. That's a good wish to use right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Zach, I don't have to disagree a lot of what you have to say on this movie. I will disagree though on Melissa McCarthy. I thought she was funny at times. And especially at the beginning when she was sort of fish out of water, because she's 2,000 years old, I guess, which they show her seems like medieval Viking times. It didn't line up whatsoever. And I don't know if there were that many like people of that complexion 2,000 years ago. So I guess in the Roman era there were, but anyway.
Right. Yeah. She's like, yeah.
Yeah. It looks like she's living in rainy England, which was hermits at that point. So there was no civilization going on. Anyway, that's fine. We can move on from that. When she was kind of fish out of water and like experiencing things for the first time and like eating pizza, I think it was I thought that was all kind of fun, kind of funny. But then they move away from that to write this sort of boring use of wishes, and they spend so much time on this Mona Lisa thing where like he's in jail and she's in jail and they can't communicate and how are we supposed to get out of here. And it's like, it was trying my patience so much in that middle portion. And I just kind of found Bernard to be a boring character overall. Like, they set up how he's overworked and his wife seems to be on the verge of leaving him. And, his daughter seems oblivious to the whole thing. And I was just like, I don't know, Bernard seems kind of boring. He probably should leave him. Could do better. He's not that great. Like, he doesn't seem like, hey, I'm sure he's fine, but he could be just fine as a divorced, single dad too. Drop him off on weekends. It's no big deal. I will give this movie credit though. I love whenever there's obscure metal references in movies. And at one point, Melissa McCarthy's listening to music and they play an Anvil song.
Mhm.
And I don't know how many movies play Anvil songs aside from the Anvil documentary. So that was kind of cool. Like, oh, I recognize this. But other than that, not a lot to go on this movie for me.
I mean,
James?
I understand the criticism you guys have communicated, and I don't disagree with it. And also, I had a way better time watching this than the apology. Probably because of just how harmless this movie is, like on all fronts. And that just might be like my experience with the apology being led up or followed up by this movie the next night. And it was just kind of like a breath of fresh air to have this very innocuous, somewhat actually very lighthearted, I would say, low stakes movie where you knew everything was going to be all right in the end. I mean, that's what this is. It's a feel good Christmas movie that didn't have a chance of being a hit in a movie theater, which is why it landed at a streamer. I believe it was filmed for a streamer. I'm sure on paper they knew this is just going to pad out with a fairly big comedic name, our Christmas movie selection for this year. And it's probably the biggest name in streaming Christmas movies this year, as far as like big stars being in a streaming movie. I can't think of anything else.
I thought Eddie Murphy's got one coming out.
A Christmas centered movie?
I believe so, on Netflix. Yeah.
He does.
Okay. Well, then this is the biggest one Peacock had for sure.
The fourth biggest streamer.
All right. And Melissa McCarthy movies for me have always been hit and miss. Like I Spy is great, super fun. Love that movie. Tammy, awful. Did not laugh once during that movie. And it's odd how, I mean, she's kind of being the same person in those movies. Like the style of comedy is very similar between those two movies, and just one hits and one doesn't. And I would agree, this movie doesn't really hit in the Melissa McCarthy comedy section. But I think if you were a diehard Melissa McCarthy fan and she can't, everything she does is funny to you, this movie's probably going to be great for you. But for me, it's it's hit or miss, like I said. And this one was probably a miss in that category. I also didn't like that, like, Bernard's worst sin was like working. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it didn't see. I understand the idea of like making space for your family and like standing up for yourself, and all of these things are good things. Is it worth leaving your husband because like he had to work? I don't know. It just seemed
I think she
seemed
just
like
realized-
this was this was jumping the gun a little bit.
I think she just realized that she's like, oh, this guy's not that great anyway. And then she's like, oh, you work too much too. So that's why I'm leaving you.
Right. But like
deep down, she knew she made a mistake.
Spoiler alert. At the end, he makes a wish to like not do the inciting thing that made her leave. And she's just like totally fine with it. You know what I mean? Like she turns around 180%. And it's kind of like, all right, I'm sure there's a lesson here. I'm just not sure I care to learn it because
It turns out to be
seemed like she was
less-
being very mean to him over something that kind of wasn't his fault.
At first, it's set up as if it's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
But the fact that he just can redo that night and everything is totally fine makes it seem like that was just that one egregious incident was too much,
Right.
But, I mean,
and he never earns her commitment back through
Is he
natural
just
means.
delaying the inevitable.
yeah, I think it's that. I think like if you think about this movie in the long term, you go out like a month. In a month, he's gonna do something that's gonna piss her off, and then we're gonna be back to the exact same situation where she's like, "I'm going to my mom's house. We need a break." I think this marriage was pretty on the rocks to begin with, and one night of saving Christmas is not going to solve them in the long term.
That's why he should have used one of his free wishes to wish for $10 million so that he doesn't have to work again.
Right.
And he can be a family man and just have fun.
But then she's be like, "Oh, wait, now you're home all the time." Like, no, that's not what I wanted.
I just think it would have been better if he had like figured out how to learn the lesson without using a wish to trick her into not leaving him that night.
Right.
Like
Because
that's the spoiler alert. The resolution of the movie is like he tricks her by going back, doing the thing exactly how she wanted it done. And then she loves him again.
Does he
Whereas,
have to
like,
wish
there
to
was-
go back in time?
Yeah.
yes, he did. Because like Melissa McCarthy early says, you can't wish to go back in time. And then at the end of the movie, she's like, by the way, that was a lie. You can go back
That's
in time.
another wish.
Yeah.
He
Great.
used 5 wishes, Zach, after she said he had 3.
Perhaps Melissa McCarthy becomes free automatically. So maybe it is back down to 4. But it's definitely more than 3.
Still down to 4, though. We still have one
It's so-
unaccounted for free wish here.
Anyway, it's kind of like in Groundhog Day, right? When he gets free of the cycle, it's because he's not manipulating the cycle anymore,
Right.
right? He's like fallen in love with her and he gives the space to just, she's going to make her own decision. He can't force it anymore. Whereas the resolution of this movie is, nope, I'm just going to go back, do it over again, and do exactly what she will keep her in my life. And like she hasn't learned how to accept his faults and he hasn't learned how to accept hers. I don't know. I wasn't like mad at the movie for that. It just felt like these feel good Christmas movies, they're supposed to like have a moral lesson at the end or something like that, right? Like Christmas Carol, even Elf has like a little bit of like a moral story. Ernest Saves Christmas has a little bit of a moral story at the end. I think this one thought it had that, but really it was just a bit of trickery that tricked everybody into being happy at Christmas time. And I was just kind of like, okay, all right, that's what the movie is. And so
Are you saying Bernard's the villain of this movie?
no, but I'm not sure anybody learned anything.
Oh, no. Not
Like
at
you
all.
said, the next time he does something, the next time he stays at work a little too long, they're separated. They may have gotten through Christmas, but that's the only thing we get.
I
out
don't
of
give
this
him
movie.
till President's Day.
Yeah. So yeah, could have been funnier, but also I wasn't hating it. Anything else on Genie? All right,
No.
let's letterbox this one. I gave it a 2.
1.5.
I gave this a 2.
All right. 2 2s and a 1.5 for Genie. It's time to talk our final movie of this Christmas episode. The movie is titled The Holdovers. It's also from 2023. You can find it in theaters and on premium VOD right now. Here's a clip.
I heard you got stuck with babysitting duty this year. How'd you manage that?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose I failed someone who richly deserved it.
Oh, the Osgood kid? Yeah, he was a real rich and popular combination around here.
It's a plague. And you? You'll be here too?
All by my lonesome. My little sister Peggy and her husband invited me to go visit them in Roxbury, but I feel like it's too soon. Like Curtis will think that I'm abandoning him, you know? This is the last place that my baby and I were together. Not including the bus station.
Well, I look forward to your fine cooking.
Oh, no, don't do that. All we've got is whatever's in that walk-in. No new deliveries till January.
That was The Holdovers, a 2023 American comedy drama directed by Alexander Payne and starring Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sisa, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for The Holdovers is: a cranky history teacher at a remote prep school is forced to remain on campus over the holidays with a troubled student who has no place to go.
Yeah.
Decent plot synopsis, I would
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
This movie was the one I picked, but I think it was a consensus pick because this is kind of the Christmas movie that came out this year that people were saying was actually good, which is sometimes a backhanded compliment. But I think we just haven't had like a good Christmas movie come out in some time when that like actually has buzz for it because it is a Christmas movie type of thing. And this one had buzz, and so we tracked it down. And I guess since this one is mine, I will start. I like this movie quite a bit. I'm not going to say it's going to hit my yearly rotation. I doubt that's going to happen. But as Christmas movies go, I thought it was appropriately Christmassy. It's not about Santa Claus or anything, but it's about people who kind of don't really have family to be with during Christmas, and they're put in situations that they are not ideal as far as like having to spend time together, even though they don't enjoy each other's company a whole lot. And they figure out they figure out they actually like each other in the end, I would say. And I thought it was very well acted and heartfelt, and the filmmaking itself was just super. This sounds backhanded too, but just very competent, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe because this was the third I watched. I watched The Apology, then Genie, which they each have their own competency issues, totally separate competency issues. Whereas this one, it was very clear what the goal was, and the execution of that was about as good as you can get for the story they were telling. And
Nothing stood out as wrong.
right. I appreciated that for sure. I also really liked seeing what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. Paul Giamatti on screen again. It's been a while since I've seen him on screen, and he was great in this, just kind of as the curmudgeon-y history teacher who's tasked with babysitting these kids at a prep school who can't go home for the holidays for one reason or another. I also really loved the dynamic of the young kid and the cranky teacher and the head cook of the prep school. I thought all of the dynamic of those three people just spending time together in the beginning when they're not enjoying each other's company, and towards the end when they are, it was just very like heartwarming, I guess. And Yeah. I think that's broadly where I stand on this one. What do you guys think of it?
Zach?
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. From the trailer, when I saw it in the theaters, I knew I wanted to see this movie just because of the presentation of the movie, like the look of it. It was shot digitally,
Yeah.
but they went to great pains to make it have a filmic look. And I love that look. It just feels like so nostalgic, and automatically gives the movie just a little bit of, I don't know, like special gravitas. It makes me more interested. Yeah, this movie, we've seen movies of boarding school kids, right? And the angst and, what is it, ennui that they have. But, and this one has a little bit of that, a little bit with, the curmudgeon, Giamatti. But it was endearing in like a predictable way. Like, it felt fairly predictable, but the individual notes and the characters and the actors were entertaining to watch through the predictability of it, Like, you don't know the specifics of like the boys' parents and stuff like that. So it's not like those are like, long, well-trod tropes, but it just, it felt like we're hitting beats that we're comfortable with, but it's a good path. I mean, like, those movies are always good to watch. So I enjoyed it for sure. I think the acting was strong. Maybe I was less impressed by the cook's character or acting. Like, she had a little bit of a lisp or something, and I didn't know what that was. Kyle, do you know?
Yeah, she was doing like a not so much a Boston accent, a Massachusetts accent.
Was she hitting it, or was she doing it poorly? It just seemed strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed a little off to me. Like, I've seen her in other things, so I've heard what I assume to be her actual speaking voices, and it's not what you get in this movie.
Gotcha.
But I'll admit that a lot of my knowledge of the like Boston, Massachusetts accent is from white people, and it could be different in different cultures and different vernacular. So, but I see what you're saying. How it did come off like a little off-putting at first. I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise I enjoyed this movie. I don't, it's not going to be a favorite of mine or something that I'll feel the need to return to or anything like that. But I think it's worth existing.
Yeah, I found this movie really heartwarming, would be like the one word I could use to describe it. And this part of it is that presentation. I'll admit, at the very beginning of the movie, when like the choir was singing, they seemed to add in like these pops and scratches like to the audio and to the picture. And I was just like, oh no, are we gonna try and like make this thing look like it's an old 70s movie? Because I'd watched what's the Tarantino one, Grindhouse or whatever it's called, Death Proof.
Mm-hmm.
And that has like the artificial pops and scratches in it, which really grated on me. Thankfully, this movie did it for like 30 seconds and then moved on from it. Just like, it set the tone, but did not keep that going, which I was thankful for, because I did not want 2 hours of fake pops and hissing going on. But yeah, I was expecting this movie to be more melodramatic based on the trailer, because the trailer seems to take all the big dramatic lines in this movie and put them front and center to make you think like this is like a large growth kind of movie. And although the characters do grow, especially Paul Giamatti's, like, this is much more of a comedy, I thought, of just watching these, the curmudgeonly teacher, this kind of screw up kid, and like, you're right, the cook character, become found friends over a period of a couple of weeks. I thought the dialogue was great in this. Paul Giamatti as this overeducated history professor just has some incredible lines and burns that he's using against the students. I liked that the kid himself is kind of a screw up also. So it's not like the kid is just some innocent kid who's stuck there. Like, we learned that he's made mistakes. He's kind of a jerk. He's not the biggest jerk on campus, but he's also sort of a jerk in general. He gets himself into some trouble, and like Paul Giamatti has to be the nice one in some instances because of this kid, which I thought was a sort of an interesting twist on the story.
Mhm.
And I really like that this movie had candlepin bowling, which is something I used to do as a kid when I was out east visiting my family. So not many movies feature candlepin bowling. It was cool to see it in this one.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Is that an East Coast thing?
It's an East Coast thing. Yeah. It's basically like skinny dowels. And then the ball itself is like we saw in the movie, kind of like a bocce ball size, sort of a handball size.
I had never seen that either. I didn't even know that existed. till
You
I
throw
saw it in
3
this
balls
movie.
instead of 2 also.
Okay.
There's 3 frames per whatever you want. Yeah, 3 balls per frame.
The presentation also really reminded me of like early Wes Anderson movies.
Like before he became Wes Anderson.
Before he became Dollhouse Wes Anderson.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I think the comedy wasn't near as edgy as early Wes Anderson movies, but kind of like the twee presentation, there's a little bit of that going on through the movie.
Like especially at the beginning, we see like the rowing crew practicing, and you get all these like establishing shots of what the students are doing on campus.
Everybody's wearing brown pants and, you know, muted shades of clothing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just reminded me of that, but not as stylized as Wes Anderson says. Certainly not as stylized as, you know, the last 20 years of Wes Anderson. More like 90s Wes Anderson. Yeah, but I thought it was funny and had a great script, which was a welcome change in the sequence of Christmas movies I watched. I was like, well, this is well written. Somebody took a couple passes at this one, I would say.
Yeah, who is this Alexander Payne? Has he done anything before?
Yeah, I've never heard of the guy.
Yeah. Paul Giamatti?
Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed this a lot. But also, maybe I'll watch it again someday. But it's just as likely that'll never happen.
Yeah.
As it'll happen, for sure.
Like, although this is probably maybe the most Christmassy of the 3 we watched, I don't see this being like a Christmas classic of like, okay, let's all gather around the TV and pop some popcorn and watch our Holdovers for our annual viewing.
Right. No, this is more like, you weren't on the podcast at this point, Kyle, but this is more like our, what was that movie called? Like 3 Women. Like there've been a couple we've watched where we're like, that's good. That was a good one. I'll probably never watch it again, but that was good. I could see why people, you know, when you look up underrated Christmas movies, this one makes lists because it's actually pretty fun, but not something you'd necessarily watch over and over and over again year after year. But if you need a new Christmas movie to watch with your adult family and friends, I could see this one being a good choice this year.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't describe this as a Christmas movie. It's a movie that takes place at Christmas. But it's not a movie you should watch at Christmas time.
You can watch any time of the year.
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
would be just as appropriate to watch in July as December.
I mean, there's definitely, I don't know, there is some Christmas spirit to this movie, especially in the softening of Paul Giamatti's character. Like, he starts off pretty hard.
He's Grinched out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, you know, I would say he's the one who grows and, you know, moves more to the center than the kid. The kid probably has the least amount of growth of the 3 characters, partially because he has a 17-year-old kid. So
I guess my metric to decide if it's a Christmas movie or a movie that takes place at Christmas is pretty much what I said is like, do you enjoy the movie more because you watch it December 20th than if you watch it August 8th? And like the Elf, absolutely, you know, Miracle on 34th Street, absolutely, like Christmas Story, absolutely. But like the Holdovers, I think it's the same all year round. You get the same appreciation all year round.
So how would you compare this, not in quality, but in Christmassiness to Genie? Because I think we all agree Apology is like the least Christmassy of the 3.
Oh yeah. Aren't we supposed to rate these by how Christmassy they are?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Genie is the extremely poor version of Elf, right? You have to, there's the only reason you watch this is it's December 20th.
Right.
And it's free on Peacock. 'cause you
Yeah.
have a
Whereas
subscription.
Holdovers, if it could come out in May or March, more like, and it would do just as much traffic, I think.
Genie is only going to show up on the streamer in the Christmas movie section.
Yeah.
Whereas Holdovers will just eventually find its way to drama or comedy.
Yeah, or acclaimed actor.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Genie's got one tag.
I disagree with Zach. I think there is something to be had for watching this around Christmas time. It's snowing. It's about a Christmas break. All the other kids go to Christmas break. I think there's strong Christmas vibes in the presentation and the heart of the movie. Could you watch it in July? Certainly. Would you get 5% more from it by watching it around Christmas or during winter at minimum? Yeah, you'd get 5% more.
James,
you're already in that
Florida.
vibe.
Winter
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have snow.
How snowy is it down
You're
where
in
you guys
Florida.
are?
Who's what? I know, but like, I don't watch movies typically. I'm not going to say I've never, but I'm not looking to watch movies that have snow in it in July. I just don't.
Wait, is that a thing for you? Like, that's not even something I would think about. If a movie had snow, I wouldn't be like, well, that's strange. It's July that I'm watching this film.
If it's, I'm saying like, I'm not looking to watch heartfelt movies set in the winter.
James
that
could have
have
watched
Christmas
The Winter
in it
Soldier until December.
in July.
He's had
I
to
just
wait.
don't. I'm not looking for that. But like around around Thanksgiving, I start thinking, hey, I should probably watch some Christmas set movies in the next month or so. That's when I watch those movies. Like a normal person. Most people don't watch Christmas set movies in July because
James,
you can get a little bit, it helps you get into the spirit.
Mhm.
Last week we watched Leave the World Behind, which is a summer set movie, but we're in the
Sure.
heat of winter right now.
Right, but there's no
That's so
such thing as
odd.
getting into the summer spirit. People don't say that. Right?
So funny to me.
No, I hear what you're saying, James, as in like Christmas movies. It's a very seasonal thing, right? Like
Absolutely.
we don't have other, like we have summer blockbusters. We definitely have seasons associated with kinds of movies, but like holiday movies are a very specific genre. I think you can watch them year round, but I see what you're saying is you just want to save it. Like these movies help get you into the spirit.
100%. You can watch it whenever you want. I don't care when you watch it. The comment was, you'll get just as much out of it watching it in July as you will around Christmas.
I do think so.
I think you'll get a lot out of it watching it in July. I think it's a good movie regardless of when you watch it. And also, you'll get a little more out of it if you watch it around the Christmas
I don't even
season.
think you would get 5% more. And I'm going to add to my definition of how I distinguish a Christmas movie from a movie that takes place at Christmas.
Okay.
I think most Christmas movies, the classic Christmas movies, they end on Christmas. This movie ends when Christmas break is over. I think this is much more a Christmas break movie, right? Like, but Christmas
a winter
movies, I
break
feel
movie,
like
yeah.
the climax and the end is on Christmas Day. And this movie is not. It just Christmas Day is a time period that they encompass.
It's like 2/3 of the way through the movie, Christmas happens.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a Christmas break movie more than it is a Christmas movie.
That's fine. It's a movie that takes place around Christmas. That's what I'm
For
looking
sure.
for.
I totally agree.
It's untraditional in that, yes, it is showing you a couple days after Christmas. Most movies don't do that. But, you know, most movies aren't trying to be what this movie's trying to be either around Christmas.
I do love this insight that even 600 episodes in, I get that James will tend to not watch movies with snow unless it's winter. All things being equal.
I should caveat that since we're caveating things. If I'm looking for something to watch in July,
yeah,
and the movie happens to have snow in it, but it's not necessarily a Christmas movie, I'll probably watch it. It's more like, is the movie set around Christmas? If that's the case, I'm not watching it in July. I can think of 100 other things I'll watch before I watch that in July.
Like you wouldn't watch Die Hard in July. Because
Die
it's
Hard's
set.
not a Christmas movie.
I don't think it's I'm saying It's set at Christmas.
But there's
It
no
has
there's no
by what
snow,
you're
though.
saying, James.
Die Hard is a very different beast. I will watch Die Hard any time of the year.
Okay.
But also, I don't consider it a Christmas movie. But we don't need
Okay.
to get into that. That has been so argued over and over and over again.
No, I'm not
We're maybe
saying
the only people that haven't argued that, and I'd rather not.
Let's
I'm
go
not
Die Hard
arguing that
2.
at all.
That has snow in it.
No, hold on. I'm not arguing it at all. You could totally think it's not a Christmas movie,
Mhm.
but you just said that if it has Christmas in it, I'm not watching it unless it's Christmas time.
No, I said if it feels like a Christmas movie, I'm not going to watch it in July. I'm not watching a movie that's supposedly a Christmas movie in July. I've seen Die Hard. I know how much of Christmas is in it. Not much. Therefore, I would watch it. If I had never seen Die Hard nor heard of it, and somebody said, it's July, watch this Christmas movie, I'd be like, I'll wait till around Christmas. Because that's when people watch Christmas movies. I'll probably get more out of it if I watch it around Christmas.
Yeah. Well,
Then I'll wait till Christmas. I'll watch it and say, man, I'm not listening to that person ever again because there's barely any Christmas in this.
James, you're pretty much stating my definition. You're making the most circular argument ever because you're stating my definition as your reason for why this is a Christmas movie. Because my definition was a Christmas movie is one that you can only enjoy at Christmas or get the most enjoyment
I never
out
said
of
only.
Christmas.
I said you'll get more out of it.
Right. I just corrected myself. But
okay, did we letterbox this one? Does anybody have anything else to say?
We haven't.
No.
All right, let's letterbox the Holdovers. What are you guys gonna give it out of 5 stars?
I think Zach's give it a 1.5.
3.5.
I'm giving it a 4-star.
I am also giving it 4 stars.
Nice.
So a 3.5 and 2 4 stars for the Holdovers.
Can you guys rank them by how Christmassy they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, how Christmassy they are or how Christmas movie-y they are?
How Christmassy they are.
Yeah. Whatever your definition of that is.
I mean, I would say The Apology's the least Christmassy movie.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Then I guess I have to go Holdovers followed by Genie, just because Genie is so much trying to be a Christmas movie, where Holdovers is to me more set during the Christmas era, the period around Christmas,
Christmas
give or
break.
take a week on either side. Yeah, so
I think Holdovers is the most Christmassy movie of these 3.
Okay.
Then the Genie, then The Apology.
James,
I think Genie wants to be the most Christmassy, but turns out to be the most lame.
oh, yeah, but we're not doing quality whatsoever.
We're talking quantity. If we're talking quantity, then Genie is the most Christmassy. There's by far more Christmas trees and lights and all the Christmas cliches, packages, shopping. Yeah, there's a lot of ice skating.
Why did he show up at his mother-in-law's house while his wife was clear? I don't understood that. Back to Genie.
There's a lot of things in Genie that
yeah,
maybe made sense, but also they shouldn't have done it because it was stupid.
Right.
All right. There's your movies for this year. Before we get out of here, we got to continue our movie trivia challenge. Literally, it's a game called Movie Trivia. In this game, there are 40 trivia cards. Kyle, you didn't listen to this, but last week we learned that this box of movie trivia that has 4 cards, 1 question per card, cost $9.99 on Amazon. How much is that per question?
Wait, let me do the math in my head.
Yeah. There's only 40 questions. $10. You can round it.
Yeah.
How much is that per question?
It's like 40 cents, right?
No,
I can't do the math. I can't do
It's a
the top of my head
quarter.
right now.
It's a quarter.
Okay, a quarter.
These trivia questions cost a quarter each. All right.
All right.
The way we're going to do this is I'm going to read the questions to you. Each question has the question and then a multiple choice set of answers. If you can answer it with just the question, you get 2 points.
Okay.
If you need the multiple choice because you gave me a wrong answer, if you give me a wrong answer, I'm going to immediately give you the multiple choice.
Okay.
If you get it right then, you get 1 point.
Okay.
If you can't think of an answer, then just say pass, something like that, and I'll give you the multiple choice. Again,
Okay.
1
Okay.
point with multiple choice, 2 points without, none if you get it wrong. Also, Zach kept his own score. So to make this fair, you have to keep your own score.
Oh.
No. Well, sure. You have to keep your own score.
He has
Go
to
for
keep
it.
his own score.
I'll do that
Okay.
as well, just because I have nothing else to do.
I'm also going to ask these in the exact same order. And I'm going to try to give you the exact same delivery I gave Zach.
Okay.
We're going to time you just in case you guys tie.
Okay.
So you'll want to do this quick or accurate or both.
We're going to make you keep my own score and be accurate and quick.
That's the goal.
It's a lot to ask.
For the record, Zach thinks you'll win.
Okay. Well,
So
I don't
no
know how well
pressure.
Zach did. So
And we'll tell you at the end.
I did very well.
He got somewhere between 0 and 80 points is my guess.
Yep. That's
Okay.
a pretty good guess. Are you ready, Kyle?
I'm ready.
All right. When I say 1, right after I say 1, I'm going to hit the timer. I'm going to start reading.
Okay.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Finish this quote. You're going to need a bigger
boat.
Correct. What does the Little Mermaid call forks in her collection?
Dinglehoppers.
Correct. What is the name of Channing Tatum's character in She's the Man?
Skip. Pass.
Sebastian, Duke, or Justin?
Sebastian.
Wrong. Duke. What does Aladdin steal in the beginning of Aladdin?
Loaf of bread.
Correct. Buzz Lightyear and Woody are owned by who?
Andy.
Correct. Who is the actor that plays a young Spock in Star Trek from 2009?
Zachary Quinto.
Correct. Where does Batman live?
The Gotham.
Correct. What is the highest grossing movie of all time as of 2022?
Avatar?
Correct. What kind of car does Marty McFly use in Back to the Future?
DeLorean.
Correct. Count Dooku is a character from what movie?
Star Wars.
Need more specific.
Attack of the Clones.
Correct. What Monty Python and the Holy Grail character says it's just a flesh wound?
The Black Knight.
Correct. How many Von Trapp children are there in The Sound of Music?
7.
Correct. What was the first horror film nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture?
The Exorcist.
Correct. True or false? Ratatouille is the name of the rat in Ratatouille.
False.
You are correct. It's false. Which of the following was not a Leonardo DiCaprio movie from the early 2000s? Was it The Aviator, Titanic, or Catch Me If You Can?
Titanic. That threw me off for a second.
It was Titanic. What musical features the song All That Jazz?
All That Jazz.
No. Was it La La Land, Guys and Dolls, or Chicago?
Chicago.
Correct. What was the first U.S. film to show a toilet flushing?
Psycho.
Correct. Who signed the baseball in The Sandlot?
Babe Ruth.
Correct. What is the address Nemo is taken to in Finding Nemo?
P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way.
Correct. Who was the first solo female host of the Oscars?
Joan Rivers?
No. Was it Oprah Winfrey, Whoopi Goldberg, or Ellen DeGeneres?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Correct. Who said this line? Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Indiana Jones.
Correct. In Aladdin, what kind of pet does Jasmine have?
A tiger.
Correct. What song from the animated 1994 movie The Lion King won an Oscar?
Circle of Life.
No. Was it Circle of Life, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, or Hakuna Matata?
Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Correct. True or false? Mary Poppins was the first Hollywood movie to have a swear word in it.
False?
You are correct that false is the right answer.
Okay.
On what planet did Luke Skywalker grow up?
Tatooine.
Correct. True or false? Chris Pratt played Captain America in the Avengers.
False. Are these true or false ones 2 points? Still?
False
Yeah.
is the
Okay.
correct answer.
Okay.
Who directed Jaws?
Steven Spielberg.
Correct. What does Nicolas Cage steal in National Treasure?
The Declaration of Independence.
Correct. What is Hey Hey in Moana?
A chicken. A rooster.
Correct. Which magazine does Miranda work for in The Devil Wears Prada?
L?
No. Was it Runaway, Vogue, or Elle?
Runaway?
It was Runaway.
Okay.
Which Disney villain turns into a dragon?
Maleficent.
Correct. What was Wilson in Castaway?
A beach ball.
No.
Volleyball.
Volleyball. I think that's 1 point.
Yeah.
Who voices Belle in the 1991 animated musical Beauty and the Beast?
Jodie Benson.
No. Was it Jodie Benson, Linda Larkin, or Paige O'Hara?
Paige O'Hara.
Correct. What jazz instrument does Ron Burgundy play?
A flute. Jazz
Need to be-
flute.
Jazz flute is
come on.
correct. Finish the movie title, The Hobbit, the blank of Smaug.
Desolation.
Yes. In Die Hard, what is the name of the skyscraper?
Nakatomi Plaza.
Correct. What color is Luke's first lightsaber in Star Wars A New Hope?
Blue.
Correct. In The Incredibles, what is Mr. Incredible's power?
Super strength.
Correct. Who plays Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games movies?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Correct. And your final question, what family hires the title character in the 1964 classic Mary Poppins?
The Banks family.
Correct. I think you maybe did it. Zach?
I got 73 is what I have for a score.
Ooh, I put you at 72.
Okay. So I did take away one for, there's one point where like I can't remember. I said beach ball, then I changed to volleyball, and you guys said that's 1 point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where did you give yourself a point that I took one off?
I don't know. That's I
That's
mean,
the question.
was there was another time when I said something and then I corrected myself.
I
don't know.
gave you jazz flute.
You gave me jazz
as 2
flute.
points.
No, there's one before that. Well, it doesn't matter. My 73 versus 72. That's
Which is
big
interesting that one of us is wrong, and if we assume it's not me, you inflated your score.
Yeah, but I was not doing that. If I inflated my score, it was not on purpose. There's at no point that I give myself an extra point. So
No, totally.
Yeah.
No, you definitely beat me.
okay.
And I could see a lot because I scored it right next to my answers, so I
Yeah.
knew which ones I was answering and what I gave them, kind of a thing.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed when you answered the Belle from Beauty and the Beast question, because James and I had a long discussion because I knew who Jodie Benson was, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, Kyle will obviously know who Jodie Benson is as well. And he's like, I've never heard of Jodie Benson. Zach, you're the only person in the world who's ever heard of Jodie Benson. And I was like, no, Kyle knows who Jodie Benson is for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Even though you guys got it wrong on that one, the answer wasn't.
Well,
Jodie Benson.
because the person who voices Belle is not as famous as Jodie Benson.
right, because like Jodie Benson is because she's Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she
Why?
was-
How you guys know that? I don't know, but
Because we have kids and we listen to Disney music on Spotify, and it credits Jodie Benson.
That's not why I
that
know.
solves the mystery.
That's how I know.
It,
Maybe Zach
James,
knows
it
for a different
doesn't
reason.
because I've never listened to Little Mermaid on Spotify.
Okay, I
With my
know
kids.
because
Well-
Spotify tells me their names.
100%. That makes sense to me. I don't
Yeah.
know why else somebody would know the name Jodie Benson unless they were a hardcore Little Mermaid.
I'm sure,
Kyle,
like,
you
Disney
knew it
files.
before Spotify told you, didn't you?
I did.
Did you?
I mean, maybe in the back of my brain I did, but it wasn't a name I thought about often until like we listened to music. Zach, how'd you do? How many points did you get?
I got 67.
Okay, all right, so
Yeah.
we're pretty close, only 5 apart.
Yeah.
And for the record, the name of the magazine from Devil Wears Prada is not Runaway. It's Runway. But I screwed that up for Zach. So I screwed it up for you.
Oh,
just to make sure.
Oh, I
it was
see. So
fair.
you said runaway, not runway. Okay. I know.
Right.
Runaway sounded weird, but I was like, well, it can't be Elle or Vogue. I think it was fictional. So let's go runaway.
Yeah. What was his time, James?
His time was 5 minutes, 21 seconds. Yours was 7:17.
Oh, wow.
So
I took longer to do worse.
Zach, you're a thinker.
He did it in almost 2 minutes less. Also, I think I read them faster.
Yeah.
Because I was reading them for the second time.
Yeah.
The Von Trapp family, that was a guess. I was like, I think there's 7. It was 6 or 7. I couldn't remember the exact number. So there's
Yeah,
a
I
couple
got that
where
one right too.
I was making guess. Or like the Dingle Hopper. Was that for Little Mermaid? I was like, is it a thingamabob? Is it? I can't remember which one it is. So
Yeah.
The real question though is, can Kyle keep his mantle or will it go to James?
Especially now that James has read them twice.
I have these memorized now.
I would say I would be disappointed if James did not beat either of us. Did not beat both of us, I should say.
You'd be disappointed?
Well, he has every reason to beat us, right? You have had all the answers twice.
Read them.
You should get all of these.
I'm not going to
100%.
beat you guys. I'm not going to beat you guys.
There's no reason to not be 100% on all of these. First of all, they're incredibly easy questions. There's maybe like 6 or less medium to difficult questions, and you've read them twice.
Right.
I'm going to get the Jodie Benson Paige O'Hara one wrong. Guaranteed.
Why?
But
because I don't know those names.
Yeah, you do.
Paige O'Hara. If you
the
remember
amount
one
that we've
thing.
talked about it is enough to know those names.
Maybe. I don't know. There's enough in there. There's a good 10 in there that would be complete guesses, even though I've heard them twice.
Really?
Especially a week from now. There's no way.
Okay. All right.
No way. Not a chance.
I'm excited to see how you do, James.
All right.
Great.
Thanks for listening, guys. This has been episode 613. Don't forget, video version on YouTube. Go check it out there. Subscribe to us. We'd appreciate that. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Appreciate that too. Get extra after show audio. Also, you could leave us an Apple Podcast review. We'd appreciate that. We'd also appreciate you sending us an email. heyguys@cinereelists.com. Send us your rare, obscure Christmas movies that you love that you think all 3 of us haven't seen. Also, follow us on social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook at Cinereelists, or you can follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaubin.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Next week, we will be talking the Netflix movie Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget, aka Chicken Run 2. So if you want to do a little bit of pre-watching, check that out on Netflix. We'll see you guys there. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.